The small village was quiet that evening. The sun had already set and the sky was painted with dark shades of blue. The houses were simple and close together, and most of the people had gone inside to rest after a long day of work. Lamps glowed softly along the narrow street, giving the place a calm and peaceful look. Inside one of those houses lived Aaron. He was a simple man with a simple life. His house had only 2 rooms, a small kitchen, and a wooden table where he ate his meals. He worked at the village mill, cutting and carrying wood during the day, and returned home each evening with tired hands but a quiet heart. He had never left the village and never thought he would. For him, life was steady, plain, and safe. That night Aaron was sitting at his table, eating bread with soup, when he heard something strange. A sound of knocking came from his front door. At first, he thought it was a neighbor, but when he listened carefully, the knock was not like any he had heard before. It was heavy, slow, and strong, as if the person outside carried great weight or great power. He stood up, a little uneasy. The village was small, and no one ever came to his house at night. He walked to the door and placed his hand on the handle. For a moment, he thought of not opening it. Something deep inside him whispered that his life would never be the same if he did. But curiosity and politeness won over fear, and he pulled the door open. Standing outside was a figure unlike any Aaron had ever seen. Tall, taller than any person in the village, the figure wore armor that shone faintly under the moonlight. Patterns like flowing rivers ran across the surface of the armor, glowing softly in the dark. The figure's head was held high, and a long cloak of deep silver fell behind her. When she spoke, her voice carried a strength that made Aaron freeze in place. "It is time to come home," she said. Aaron blinked, unsure if he had heard correctly. Her voice was calm but filled with command, as if the words were not a request but a truth that could not be denied. "I think you are mistaken," Aaron replied, his voice shaking. "This is my home. I have always lived here." The figure stepped closer, and for the first time, Aaron saw her face. She was a woman, but not like any woman he had ever known. Her features were sharp and regal, her eyes deep and bright like stars, and her skin carried a pale shimmer, as though touched by light from another world. She looked at him with calm certainty, and he felt as if she could see not just his face but the very core of who he was. "You are not where you belong," she said. "You were hidden here long ago for your safety. Now the time has come for you to return." Aaron shook his head. "I am just a worker. I cut wood. I live quietly. I do not belong anywhere else." The woman raised her arm. On her wrist was a symbol, glowing faintly like the lines on her armor. Aaron felt his chest tighten. The symbol was the same as the birthmark on his arm, the one he had carried since childhood. He had never known why it was there or what it meant. Now, seeing it on her, he felt something stir inside him, a mix of fear and recognition. "You carry the same mark," she said softly. "That is no accident. That is no mistake. You are of my people." Aaron stepped back into his house, trying to breathe. He wanted to deny it, to push her words away, but the mark on his skin burned lightly as if it had been waiting for this moment all his life. "Who are you?" he asked in a trembling voice. She straightened her shoulders, and the air around her seemed to grow heavier with her presence. "I am Queen Nira," she said. "Ruler of a world far beyond the stars you see in your sky. I have searched long and hard to find you. And now I stand at your door because it is time for you to know the truth." Aaron's heart pounded. A queen was standing in his small doorway, speaking of stars and other worlds. It sounded impossible, like a story told to children, yet nothing about her looked false. She was real, her armor was real, and the symbol on her arm matched his. He tried to steady himself. If what you say is true, why now? Why after all these years? The Queen's eyes softened for the first time. Because the danger has returned. The same enemy that once threatened you now threatens us all. You are needed. Without you, my people may fall. Her words pressed into him like weight he was not ready to carry. He looked around his small house, at the table with bread and soup, at the walls he had built with his own hands, and at the quiet life he had always known. None of it felt like it belonged to the world she spoke of. I do not understand, he whispered. You will, she said gently. But not here. Step outside, Aaron. Take one step, and I will show you where you truly belong. The night around them seemed to grow colder. Aaron stood frozen, his hand gripping the wooden door frame. He did not know if he should close the door and forget this strange moment, or take the step that might change everything he thought he knew. The Queen waited patiently. She did not move, did not push him, only stood tall and certain, her eyes never leaving his. Aaron stood at his doorway, unable to move. The Queen's presence filled the air like a storm about to break. Her words repeated again and again inside his mind. He wanted to tell himself it was not real, that it was only a dream, but the weight of her gaze kept reminding him that everything was real. The Queen took a small step forward. She did not raise her voice, yet every word carried power. Aaron, listen to me. You are not only a man of this village. You are more. You are the last of a line that once ruled beside me. I came here because it is time for you to know the truth. Aaron shook his head quickly. That cannot be. My parents were simple people. They lived here. They died here. I have always been alone. There is nothing royal about me. Her eyes softened but her voice stayed steady. Your parents were brave. They were placed here to protect you when you were still a child. They lived a life of silence so you would grow safe and hidden. The mark on your arm is proof of who you are. It is the sign of our people's bond. Aaron lifted his sleeve slowly. On his skin was the mark he had carried since birth. It looked like a circle broken into 3 lines, each one bending like the curve of a wave. Many times in his life, neighbors had asked about it. He had always said it was just a birthmark. But now, when he looked at the Queen's wrist and saw the same mark glowing faintly, he felt his stomach tighten. You say I belong to your people, he said. Then tell me, who are your people? Where do you come from? Queen Nera raised her chin. The silver of her cloak shifted with the wind, and the glow from her armor made her look even taller than before. We are from a world called Selara, she said. A world of rivers and endless skies. Our people are strong, but we are not unbroken. Years ago, an enemy rose against us. To protect our future, one child was sent far away. That child was you. You were hidden on this world so the enemy could never find you. Aaron stepped back, his heart beating faster. Why would I be sent away? I am no warrior. I cannot fight. Why would your people place such value in me? The Queen looked at him with eyes that seemed both kind and unshakable. Because you carry a bond that no one else does. Your bloodline holds a power that was nearly lost. Our people believe only you can restore balance. Without you, Selara will fall. Aaron turned and walked back into his small house, hoping distance would silence her words. But she followed him inside, her steps calm and certain. She looked around at the wooden walls, the old tools, the small fire burning in the corner. She seemed almost sad as she watched the simple life he had built. "This place kept you safe," she said. "But it was never your true home." Aaron sat down at his table, pressing his hands against his face. "I do not believe this. I do not want this. My life is here. My work is here. I am no ruler. I am no savior." The queen stood tall beside him. She did not argue, but instead reached into the folds of her cloak. From it, she drew out a small crystal. The crystal was clear at first, but as she held it, light swirled inside it like a living flame. She placed it gently on the table in front of him. "This crystal is called a memory stone," she explained. "It carries the voices of the past. It will show you what words alone cannot." Aaron hesitated, staring at the glowing object. The light within it shifted, forming shapes that looked almost alive. Slowly, he reached out and touched it. The moment his fingers brushed its surface, his vision blurred. He saw flashes of places he had never known. Wide rivers under twin suns. Towers of white stone reaching high into blue skies. Crowds of people with eyes that shone like stars. And among them, a man and a woman standing tall and proud. Their faces were not the same as his, but there was something familiar in their eyes. They held a child in their arms, a child with the same birthmark on his arm. The vision shifted. The man and woman looked worried. A dark shadow fell over their world. Ships filled the sky, burning with fire. The couple handed the child to a group of trusted guardians. With tears in their eyes, they whispered words of love before the child was taken away. The scene blurred again, and then Aaron saw the guardian's ship break through the sky, flying toward the stars. When the vision faded, Aaron pulled his hand back quickly. He was breathing hard, his heart racing. He looked at the queen with wide eyes. "That was me. I saw myself. I saw them." "Who were they?" "Your parents," Queen Nira said softly. "The last king and queen of Selara. They gave their lives to protect you. They trusted us to hide you here, on this quiet world. I have carried the weight of that promise every day since." Aaron sat in silence. His chest felt heavy, as though a stone had been placed inside it. His whole life he had believed he was no one special, only a man who worked at the mill. Now, he had seen proof that he was part of something far greater. But the weight of that truth was crushing. "I cannot be who you want me to be," he whispered. "I am not strong. I do not know how to lead. I cannot even understand how any of this is possible." The queen's gaze did not waver. "Strength does not come from being ready. It comes when there is no choice but to rise. You may feel small now, but within you is the legacy of Selara. Whether you accept it or not, the enemy will come. They already search for you. And if they find you here, this world will burn as ours once did." Aaron's eyes widened. "They would come here. To Earth." "Yes," Nira answered firmly. "They know the last air lives. They will not stop until they erase you. That is why you must come with me. Not only for Selara, but for this world too." The fire in the corner crackled softly. Outside, the village remained calm, unaware of the storm gathering far beyond the stars. Aaron stared at the memory stone, still glowing faintly on the table. He felt as though his life had been pulled apart and rebuilt in the span of a single night. His heart longed for the safety of the life he had known, but his soul could not deny the truth he had seen. The queen stood silent, waiting. She did not rush him. She knew the weight of his choice. At last, Aaron whispered, "If what you say is true, then I have no home here. But I do not yet know if I can find a home with you either." Queen Nira nodded slowly. "Then I will show you. I will give you the truth, and you will decide with your own heart. But the time to choose is near." Aaron looked at her, and though fear still filled him, a small spark of something new began to grow inside him. It was not courage yet, but it was the beginning of it. The morning came slowly. The sun rose over the quiet village, painting the sky with soft colors of gold and pink. Birds called from the trees, and the smell of fresh earth drifted through the air. For the rest of the village, it was another ordinary day. But for Aaron, nothing felt ordinary anymore. His world had changed the moment Queen Nira appeared at his door. He had not slept. All night he sat at the table, staring at the memory stone she had left on the wood. It still glowed faintly, carrying the voices and images of a world he had never known yet somehow belonged to. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the faces of his true parents, the king and queen of Selara, placing him in the care of others to keep him safe. He had lived his whole life thinking he was just another man in a small village, but now he knew the truth. When the sun touched the edge of his window, Queen Nira spoke. She had stood silent most of the night, waiting with patience, giving him the space to think. Her voice was calm but steady. "The time to decide is here, Aaron. You cannot stand between two worlds forever. One path will keep you here, and one will lead you to Selara. You must choose." Aaron rubbed his tired eyes and looked at her. "How can I choose when I do not understand either path? If I stay, you say danger will come. If I leave, I am stepping into a world I know nothing about. How can I belong to people I have never seen?" Nira's gaze softened. "You belong because of who you are, not where you were raised. Blood carries memory. The mark on your arm is not only a sign, it is a bond. You are connected to Selara whether you accept it or not. If you stay, you will place this world at risk. If you leave, you will carry the chance to save two worlds at once." Her words pressed into him like stones. Aaron looked around his small house. The tools by the wall. The wooden table. The fire pit. All the little things that had shaped his quiet life. For years, he had thought this was enough. But now, for the first time, it all felt small, fragile, and temporary. He stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the villagers were already moving about. A woman carried water. Children chased each other through the street. His neighbors smiled and waved, unaware of the truth standing in his house. He wanted to protect them. But how could he protect anyone if he could not even decide for himself? "I am afraid," he admitted. His voice was low, almost a whisper. "I am afraid of leaving. I am afraid of failing. What if I am not what you say I am?" Nira stepped closer, her silver cloak brushing the floor. "Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is choosing to act even when fear is heavy. You doubt yourself because you have lived in silence and shadow. But I have seen what you carry inside you. I would not have come if I believed you were weak. You are more than you think, Aaron." Before he could answer, a sharp sound broke the morning calm. The ground trembled slightly, and the walls of his house shook. Aaron turned quickly toward the window. In the distance, above the trees, a dark shape moved in the sky. At first, it looked like a cloud, but then light flashed along its edges, sharp and metallic. Nira's eyes narrowed. "They have found you." Aaron's heart raced. "Who?" The enemy, she said firmly. The ones who destroyed Celera's peace. They are searching for you. They will not stop until they erase you. The dark shape grew larger, and the sound of engines thundered through the air. The villagers stopped what they were doing, staring upward in fear. Children clung to their parents. Dogs barked wildly. Nira turned to Aaron. Do you see now? You cannot remain here. If you stay, Earth will become a battlefield. They will burn everything to find you. But if you leave, you draw the danger away from this place. You protect the people you care about. Aaron's chest tightened. The village had been his whole life. Every face outside was familiar to him. Every home had once shared bread or water with him. He could not imagine their lives being destroyed because of him. The ship above roared louder, circling as if searching. A beam of light swept across the forest edge, scanning the land. Aaron clenched his fists. If I go with you, will they leave this place alone? They will follow us, Nira said. Their focus is not Earth itself. It is you. But you must decide now. The longer you hesitate, the greater the danger. His heart pounded. He wanted to run. He wanted to hide. But there was no hiding anymore. The truth had already found him. He looked at the memory stone on the table one last time. His parents' faces flashed in his mind, filled with love and sacrifice. He thought of the villagers outside, living in peace, unaware of the storm above them. Finally, he turned to the queen. His voice shook, but his eyes were steady. I will go with you. Not because I believe I am who you say I am, but because I cannot let these people suffer for me. For the first time, Nira smiled. It was a small smile, but filled with respect. That choice alone shows you are worthy. You place others before yourself. That is the heart of a true leader. Aaron swallowed hard. He did not feel like a leader. He felt like a man who had just left his entire life behind. But he also felt a strange strength begin to stir inside him, as if the choice itself had unlocked something hidden. Nira raised her hand and touched a device on her wrist. A beam of light stretched into the sky. Moments later, another ship appeared, brighter and sleeker than the dark one above. It descended quickly, landing just beyond the trees. Its silver surface shone like water in sunlight. Aaron looked back at his house one last time. Every piece of it carried memory. Every corner carried years of quiet life. He wanted to hold on, but he knew he could not. Goodbye, he whispered, though no one was there to hear it. He followed Queen Nira out of the house. The villagers stared in fear at the two ships in the sky, but Nira's presence seemed to calm them. She walked with certainty, and Aaron walked beside her, though every step felt heavy. As they reached the silver ship, its door opened with a soft sound. The inside glowed with light and smooth metal walls. Aaron hesitated at the threshold. Behind him was the only world he had ever known. Ahead of him was a future he did not understand. Nira placed her hand gently on his shoulder. You have chosen. Now take the step. Aaron took a deep breath and entered the ship. The door closed behind him, sealing away the life he once knew. The ship rose, carrying him into the sky, and the village grew smaller below. For the first time, Aaron realized he was leaving Earth behind. Fear still filled his heart, but so did something else. A spark of hope, faint but alive. The silver ship rose higher into the sky, leaving the small village far below. Aaron pressed his hand against the wall of the vessel, staring through a wide glass panel that revealed the world outside. The fields, rivers, and forests he had known all his life shrank quickly until they looked like painted lines on the land. His home became a tiny dot, fading into the distance. He felt his chest tighten. This was no longer a dream. He had truly left his home behind. The house he had built with his own hands, the streets where he had grown up, the people who had shared bread with him, all of it was slipping away. The thought made his heart ache, yet he knew he could not turn back. The choice was made. Queen Nira stood beside him. She watched his face with calm understanding. "It is never easy to leave one's first home," she said softly. "But you are walking toward a greater truth. You will see wonders you never imagined." Aaron turned to her, his voice low. "And dangers too. You said they will follow me." She nodded. "Yes. But here you will not face them alone. You will learn. You will grow. And you will discover the strength within you." The ship passed through the clouds, and soon the blue sky turned into darkness filled with stars. Aaron's breath caught in his throat. He had looked at the night sky many times before, but this was different. The stars no longer seemed far away. They surrounded him, countless and bright, as if waiting for him. "This is only the beginning," Nira said. She touched her wrist, and the ship's walls shifted. Seats rose from the floor, smooth and shining. Symbols lit up along the walls, glowing like flowing water. Aaron sat down slowly, still overwhelmed by everything around him. "Where are we going?" he asked. "To Selara," she answered. "To the world of your birth. But the journey is long. We will pass through gates of light that fold space and bring us across the stars in moments. Until then, you must rest and prepare yourself." Aaron leaned back in his seat. His thoughts were restless, filled with both fear and wonder. He remembered the vision in the memory stone, the faces of his true parents, the ships in battle, the crying voices of his people. Could he really belong to that world? Could he truly carry the weight of such a destiny? The ship's lights dimmed slightly, and the sound of engines hummed softly. Nira walked to the front of the vessel and placed her hand on a control panel. At once, the stars outside stretched into lines of light. The ship leapt forward, and Aaron felt his body press against the seat. A tunnel of glowing colors opened ahead of them, swirling with blue and white streams. It was as if they had flown into a river of pure light. Aaron's eyes widened. "What is this?" "The path between worlds," Nira explained. "We call it the stream. It carries us across the distance no ordinary ship could cross. Soon, you will see Selara." Aaron watched the lights in silence. They moved endlessly, bending and twisting, painting the glass with beauty beyond anything he had ever known. For a moment, the fear inside him faded, replaced by wonder. Hours passed, though Aaron could not measure them clearly. He drifted into sleep for a while, then woke to see the light still flowing outside. When he looked toward Nira, she was seated with her eyes closed, as if resting but still alert. "Do you ever grow tired of this view?" he asked quietly. She opened her eyes and smiled faintly. "Never. Each time I pass through the stream, I remember the journeys of my youth. I remember the hope of exploring what lies beyond. For you, Aaron, this is the first step of many." Aaron lowered his gaze. "What if I fail when I reach Selara? What if I am not what they expect?" Nira's voice was steady. "Then you will still be more than you were here. You will still carry the chance of choice. That alone gives hope to my people. They do not need you to be perfect. They need you to be true." Her words gave Aaron a small measure of comfort, though doubt still lingered. He wanted to believe her, but the shadow of fear still clung to him. Suddenly, the ship trembled. The lights of the stream flickered outside. Aaron gripped the side of his seat. What is happening? Nira stood quickly. Her eyes hardened. They have found us. Aaron's heart skipped. The enemy. Yes, she said. They followed our signal through the sky. Their ships are near. The glass panel ahead lit up, showing dark shapes cutting through the stream behind them. Jagged vessels, sharp like blades, chased through the light. Their edges glowed with red fire. Aaron's pulse raced. What do we do? Nira raised her arm. Symbols lit up on her armor, and the ship's walls brightened. We fight if we must, but our goal is to reach Selara. Hold steady. The enemy ships fired beams of red light that sliced through the stream. The silver ship shook violently as one beam struck near its side. Sparks flickered inside, and Aaron gripped the seat tightly. Nira spoke into the air, and the ship responded. Energy shields formed around them, glowing bright blue. More beams struck, but the shields held. The vessel twisted and turned, weaving through the flowing light to escape. Aaron's breath came fast. Fear pressed heavy on his chest. He wanted to close his eyes, but he forced himself to watch. This was the danger Nira had spoken of, the danger that followed him even across the stars. The Queen remained steady at the front of the ship, her voice calm but strong. Do not fear. This is only the beginning. They will not break us here. The silver ship surged forward. The stream of light grew brighter, opening into a wide circle ahead. At the center of it was a shining gate, pulsing with energy. Nira's voice carried through the ship. That is the gate of Selara. Once we pass through, they will not follow easily. The enemy ships fired again, their beams cutting dangerously close. The shields strained, glowing hotter, cracks of energy sparking across them. Aaron shouted, "They are too close." But Nira's eyes did not waver. Trust the ship. Trust me. The silver vessel roared forward, light pouring around it. The gate expanded, pulling them inside. The enemy beams fell behind as the ship crossed through, swallowed by blinding white light. When the brightness faded, Aaron opened his eyes. Outside was no longer the stream. It was a vast starfield, and at its center hung a world unlike any he had seen. A planet of deep blue rivers, endless green fields, and shining towers that glittered like crystal in the sunlight. Nira's voice softened. Behold Selara. Your true home. Aaron stared in awe. His breath caught, and for the first time since leaving Earth, a spark of belonging stirred inside him. The silver ship descended slowly through Selara's skies. Aaron pressed his face close to the glass, unable to look away from the world below. Rivers as wide as seas glittered in the sunlight. Green plains stretched farther than the eye could see. In the distance, tall mountains rose like silent guardians, their peaks glowing with white snow. But it was the cities that caught his breath. Towers of white stone and crystal rose into the sky, glowing softly as if lit from within. Bridges of silver connected them, and airships floated between them like birds in the air. The sight filled Aaron with awe. He had lived all his life in a small wooden village. Now, before him, was a world that seemed built from dreams. Queen Nira stood at his side, her cloak shining faintly. This is Selara, the world of your birth. Long have we waited for you to see it with your own eyes. Aaron swallowed hard. A part of him felt wonder, but another part felt small. How could he, a simple man from Earth, belong to such a place. The ship landed in a wide courtyard made of smooth stone. Blue fires burned in tall lamps, and banners with flowing symbols moved gently in the wind. Soldiers in shining armor lined the edges, standing tall and silent. As Aaron stepped out with Nira, every soldier placed a hand to their chest and bowed their heads. Aaron froze. They bow to me. Why? Nira answered calmly. Because you are of the royal line. You are the heir they thought lost forever. To them, your return is a sign of hope. Aaron felt heat rise to his face. He wanted to tell them he was no heir, no leader, only a man afraid of his own shadow. But the soldier's eyes shone with respect, and he did not have the heart to speak his doubts aloud. Nira guided him through the courtyard into a great hall. The ceiling rose high, painted with stars and rivers of light. Along the walls stood statues of kings and queens from ages past, each one holding a staff with the same three-lined circle that marked Aaron's arm. This hall, Nira said, is the hall of memory. Here rests the legacy of your people. Each statue carries the story of those who came before you. Aaron walked slowly, staring at the statues. Their stone faces looked strong, noble, certain of their place in history. He felt nothing like them. His hands shook slightly, and doubt grew heavier in his chest. At the end of the hall stood a pedestal. Upon it rested a staff of crystal and silver, glowing faintly. Nira stopped and faced him. This staff belonged to your father. It has waited for you. Only his bloodline can awaken its full power. Aaron stepped back quickly. No, I cannot. I am not ready. Nira's voice was firm but gentle. Do not fear. The staff will not harm you. Place your hand upon it, and you will see. His heart pounded. Slowly, with trembling fingers, Aaron reached out and touched the staff. The moment his skin met the crystal, a surge of light rushed through him. His vision blurred, and the world around him faded. He stood in a place of pure light. Rivers of energy flowed around him, shining with colors he could not name. At the center of it, he saw himself not as he was, but taller, stronger, his eyes glowing like stars. This other self raised the staff high, and the rivers of light bent toward it, joining into a single beam. The vision filled him with both fear and wonder. Then the light faded, and he was back in the hall. The staff glowed brighter now, and faint sparks of energy danced across his arm, tracing the mark on his skin. Nira's eyes shone. The bond has awakened. Your bloodline carries the power to guide Silara's rivers of energy. This is what our people call the heart light. It was nearly lost when your parents died, but through you, it lives. Aaron's breath came fast. He pulled his hand back, staring at his arm. I felt it. But it was too much. I cannot control it. That is why you must learn, Nira said. The heart light is not only power. It is life itself, flowing through all of Silara. If you master it, you can protect our people. If you fail, it will consume you. Her words sent a chill through him. He looked at the glowing staff, then at the statues along the walls. Each figure seemed to watch him, silent but heavy with expectation. Over the next days, Nira guided Aaron through the beginnings of training. She took him to the Temple of Streams, where water flowed in endless patterns across glowing stone floors. There, teachers showed him how to breathe with focus, how to let his mind follow the rhythm of the rivers, how to listen for the energy within. At first, he failed. When he tried to call the energy, nothing happened. When he forced it, sparks burned across his arm and left him trembling on the ground. Doubt filled him again, and more than once he told Nira he could not do it. But she remained steady. Patience, she told him. The heart light will not answer to fear. It will answer only to balance. You must trust yourself. Slowly, he began to feel it. On the third day, as he sat in silence by the temple's flowing waters, he sensed a soft pulse within his chest. He opened his eyes and saw faint light glowing around his hand. It was weak, but it was real. The teachers bowed their heads, and Nira gave him a proud smile. You see, she said. The heart light lives in you. Each day it will grow stronger, and with it, so will you. Aaron felt a mix of pride and fear. The power was real, but it frightened him. He could not escape the thought of losing control, of hurting those around him. One evening, as he stood on a balcony overlooking the city, Nira joined him. The towers of Selara glowed in the distance, and the rivers reflected the stars above. You doubt yourself still, she said quietly. Yes, Aaron admitted. What if I cannot be who they need? What if I fail when the enemy comes? Nira placed a hand on his shoulder. The people do not need perfection. They need hope. And hope does not come from power alone. It comes from the heart that chooses to rise even when afraid. That is what your parents believed. That is why they saved you. Aaron looked out at the city. The people below lived with faith in him, though he had only begun to understand who he was. Their trust felt heavy, but also gave him strength. For the first time, he felt that maybe just maybe he could learn to carry it. As the night deepened, the rivers of Selara glowed brighter, as if the world itself was alive. And in that light, Aaron felt the spark of the heart light pulse within him, no longer silent, no longer hidden, but waiting for the day he would need it most. The days passed quickly in Selara, but for Aaron they felt heavy with learning. Every morning he stood with the teachers in the Temple of Streams, trying to guide the power of the heart light through his body. Some days he felt progress. A flame of energy would flicker in his hands, or the river near him would ripple with his focus. Other days he failed and sank into frustration. Still, he did not give up. One morning, Nira came to him as he sat cross-legged beside the flowing waters. Her cloak moved softly in the temple's breeze, and her eyes carried both calm and warning. Aaron, she said, the time has come for your trial. He looked up quickly. Trial? I am not ready. You are, she answered. The heart light must be tested, or it will never grow. Every year before you faced a trial, a journey into the depths of Selara itself. There, you will be tested not only by power, but by your own heart. Aaron's stomach turned. And if I fail? Nira's voice softened. Then you will not rise as protector. But remember, failing does not mean ending. It only means you must try again. The rivers never stop flowing, and neither must you. Her words gave him little comfort, but he nodded. Deep inside, he knew she was right. Hiding from the trial would not help. He had to face it. That evening, under the glow of Selara's twin moons, Aaron stood at the entrance of a vast cavern called the Gate of Echoes. The air around it shimmered faintly, as if the cave itself breathed. Priests and teachers stood in silence, watching him. In their hands, they held lamps of blue fire. Nira placed the glowing staff in his hands. The path will test your strength, your courage, and your truth. No one may walk it with you. The heart light must face itself. Aaron gripped the staff tightly. His chest pounded, but he stepped forward. The shadows of the cave swallowed him, and the outside world disappeared. Inside, silence pressed heavy around him. Only the sound of dripping water echoed. He raised the staff, and it glowed faintly, lighting the stone walls. The deeper he walked, the colder the air grew, until his breath came out in small clouds. After a long stretch, he entered a wide chamber. The floor was covered with still water, reflecting his faint light. In the reflection, he saw not only himself but another figure. When he looked up, his breath caught. It was him yet not him. The figure had his face, but its eyes glowed with harsh fire, and its mouth twisted in anger. The reflection spoke. You are weak. You think you can lead. You cannot even control your own fear. Aaron's grip on the staff tightened. You are not real. The reflection laughed. I am as real as your doubt. I am every failure you have hidden. Strike me if you can. The figure leapt from the water, and suddenly the chamber shook. Aaron swung the staff, and sparks of light flew. The clash was fierce. Each blow of the reflection staff sent shivers through his arms. The fight seemed endless, and each strike reminded him of his fear. His chest burned, and his arms weakened. The reflection's voice echoed louder. You will never be ready. You will never belong. Aaron fell to one knee. The reflection raised its staff for the final strike. In that moment, Nira's words returned to him. Hope does not come from power alone. It comes from the heart that chooses to rise even when afraid. Aaron closed his eyes, breathing slowly. He let the fear wash through him, but he did not fight it. Instead, he accepted it. When he opened his eyes, the heart light within him pulsed strong. The staff glowed bright, filling the chamber with warm light. The reflection froze, its fire dimming. I may fear, Aaron said, his voice steady. But fear does not rule me. With one swing, he brought the staff down. Light rushed across the chamber, shattering the reflection into streams of fading energy. The water rippled, then stilled. Breathing hard, Aaron stood. For the first time, he felt not the weight of fear, but the strength of facing it. The path continued deeper. He walked for what felt like hours until he reached a second chamber. Here the walls glowed faintly with blue crystals, and in the center lay a figure on the ground. Aaron rushed forward, heart pounding. It was a woman, her cloak torn, her face pale. She looked like Nira. Help me, she whispered weakly. Aaron bent down quickly. But as he touched her, doubt struck him. The real Nira was waiting outside. This was not her. The woman's voice grew louder. If you leave me, I will die. Is that what a leader does? His chest ached. The thought of leaving anyone to suffer was unbearable. Yet deep down, he knew this was another test. He closed his eyes and whispered, You are not real. You are only the weight of guilt in my heart. When he opened his eyes, the woman vanished, leaving only the glowing crystals. Relief and sadness filled him at once. The trial was not about saving false images, but about knowing truth. At last, he reached the final chamber. Here the ceiling rose high, and a river of glowing light flowed through the air like a living thread. The sight filled him with awe. A voice filled the chamber, deep and steady. The heart light flows in all things. To guide it, you must open yourself fully. Do you accept the burden of hope, even when it feels too heavy? Aaron's hands shook. He thought of his village on earth, the simple days of chopping wood and gathering food. He thought of the soldiers who bowed to him in Selara. He thought of Nira, who believed in him when he did not believe in himself. I accept, he said firmly. Not because I am without fear, but because I will not let fear decide my path. The river of light rushed into the staff, then into his chest. His body glowed, and warmth spread through him. He felt connected not only to himself, but to Selara, to its rivers, its skies, its people. When the light faded, he stood taller, calmer, stronger. The staff no longer felt heavy in his hands. Instead, it felt like a part of him. The cave trembled, then grew silent. The path back opened before him. Aaron walked out slowly, his steps steady. When he emerged into the night air, the crowd waited. Their lamps glowed softly. Nira stepped forward, searching his eyes. You have faced the trial, she said. And you have returned. What did you find within? Aaron lifted the staff, glowing faintly in his hands. His voice was calm. I found fear. I found doubt. But I also found strength that does not end with them. Nira's eyes softened with pride. The people bowed deeply, their voices rising in song. For them, the air had proven himself. For Aaron, the journey was far from over, but for the first time, he believed he could walk it. Above, the twin moons shone brightly, and the rivers of Selara glowed as if welcoming him home. The night after Aaron's trial was filled with celebration. The people of Selara gathered in the great square, their voices rising in song. Rivers of blue light ran through the streets, guided by crystal lanterns, and the air felt alive with joy. For the first time, Aaron stood among them not as a stranger, but as one of their own. Nira stood beside him, her presence steady as always. You have passed, Aaron. The heart light answers you. Now the people will follow. Aaron gave a small smile, but his thoughts were not only of celebration. He felt the new strength within him, yet he also felt a shadow waiting beyond the horizon. The trial had shown him his inner fear, but he sensed a greater fear still to come. As the night grew quiet, Nira guided him to the Temple of Streams. There, the elders waited in a circle of flowing water. Their faces were calm, but their voices carried a weight of warning. The storm gathers, said one. The Veil, our enemy, has seen the air rise. They will not wait. They will come. Aaron listened closely. He had heard whispers of the Veil before, but now the truth unfolded. The Veil were not only another people. They were an ancient force, once tied to Selara but twisted by greed. They sought to drain the heart light from every world, leaving them empty and silent. They move across the stars, another elder said. They have found your earth as well. Their ships gather near your skies. Aaron's chest tightened. Earth. My people. They do not know how to fight this. Nira touched his shoulder. That is why you are here. Selara chose you, not only to protect us, but to stand between both worlds. The elders raised their hands, and the waters swirled into images. In them, Aaron saw vast ships drifting through the dark, their bodies sharp and cold. They shone with a false light, draining every star they passed. Soon they will strike, the elders warned. You must stand ready. The days that followed were filled with preparation. Aaron trained with the warriors of Selara, learning to guide the heart light not just within himself, but into their weapons and shields. Rivers of glowing energy flowed into blades, turning them into streams of living power. He also walked among the people, speaking with them, listening to their fears and hopes. At first, he felt uncertain. He had never been a leader before. But when he spoke of Earth, of families who tilled the soil and built fires under the night sky, the people listened with quiet respect. They saw in his words the bond between their world and his. Each evening, Nira reminded him, a leader is not only strength. A leader is the bridge between hearts. One morning, as the sky turned gold with dawn, the first alarm rang. The Veil had entered Seelara's outer skies. Their ships, black and sharp, slid across the heavens like shadows. The ground trembled as the people looked upward. Aaron stood at the front lines with Nero beside him. The warriors raised their staffs and shields, rivers of heart light glowing in their hands. The air shimmered with energy. "This is it," Aaron whispered. His chest pounded, but his grip was steady. The sky tore open with fire as the Veil ships descended. Beams of draining light reached down, striking the rivers and fields. The land itself cried out as its energy was pulled away. "Hold the heart light," Nira commanded. Her voice rang strong across the lines. Aaron lifted his staff, letting the power flow through him. The light surged, meeting the draining beams in the sky. The clash lit the heavens with brilliance, blue against black. The ground shook, and the air roared like thunder. The battle had begun. The warriors of Seelara fought bravely, their staffs striking with streams of light. But the Veil soldiers poured from the ships, cloaked in dark armor, their eyes glowing with hunger. Every strike they made tried to pull energy away, leaving the ground cracked and weak. Aaron pushed forward, his staff blazing. For every blow he struck, he thought of Earth, of his people who had no defense against such enemies. The thought gave him strength. He fought not just for Seelara, but for both worlds. The Veil commander soon appeared, tall and sharp as a blade, its voice like steel. "Heir of Seelara, you cannot stop the endless hunger." Aaron met its gaze. "You mistake hunger for power. It only leaves emptiness." Their clash was fierce. The commander's blade of draining shadow struck against Aaron's staff of glowing light. Sparks filled the air, each strike echoing like thunder. Aaron's arms shook, but he refused to fall. Nira and the warriors held the lines behind him, fighting with all their strength. But the Veil pressed hard, and the land groaned with pain. For a moment, despair touched Aaron's heart. Could they truly stand against such a storm? Then, deep within, the heart light answered. He remembered the trial, the reflection of his fear, the false images of guilt. He remembered how he had chosen not to be ruled by them. Aaron lifted his staff high. The heart light surged, brighter than before. It spread beyond him, flowing into the warriors, into the rivers, into the very skies. The land itself rose with him. The commander staggered back, its blade dimming. The draining beams shattered as rivers of blue light pushed upward, striking the Veil ships. One by one, their shadows cracked, and the heavens cleared. The people of Seelara raised their voices in a cry of victory as the Veil ships retreated into the dark. The storm had been turned. When the battle ended, the land slowly stilled. The rivers flowed bright once more, and the skies opened wide. The people bowed to Aaron, their voices calling him protector, heir, and bridge between worlds. Nira stood beside him, her eyes steady and proud. "You have faced the storm. You did not fall. Now the path forward is open." Aaron breathed deeply. He looked to the stars, where Earth lay far beyond. "The storm may return," he said. "But I will be ready. Not alone, but with all who carry the heart light." The people lifted their lamps, filling the night with rivers of light. And in that glow, Aaron felt the truth. He had come as a stranger, but now he stood as part of something greater. Celero was his home, and Earth was his home, and between them he would carry hope. Above, the stars shone bright, not in silence but in promise. The rising storm had passed, but the journey of the air had only begun.